Listen carefully. What I'm about to explain will make some people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. There is a psychological pattern that has been used on men for a long time, and it keeps working for one reason. Most men can't see it while it's happening. They're too busy reacting to it. What women say they want and what their behavior responds to are often two different things. And if you stay confused about which is which, you stay easy to move. I know how this sounds at first, like bitterness, like paranoia, but what I'm going to break down isn't an opinion, it's behavioral pattern recognition. And once you see it clearly, you'll start recognizing it everywhere, in your current relationship, in your past relationships, in the moments you couldn't explain, the sudden shifts, the emotional whiplash that made you question yourself. Here's what we're going to do. I'll walk you through it step by step. I'll show you the exact mechanism that creates obsession in men, why it works so powerfully, how to recognize when it's being used, and how to become immune to it. This might trigger you. You might feel defensive. That's normal. The mind resists clarity when it threatens old beliefs. But if you stay with me through the full breakdown, your view of dating and relationships will change permanently. You'll see the game clearly for the first time. And once you see it clearly, you can decide whether to play it or walk away. Attraction isn't built by consistency alone. Obsession is created by inconsistency. Think about it. The woman who's always available, always warm, always attentive, you may appreciate her, even care about her, but you're not consumed by her. You're not checking your phone every few minutes. You're not replaying conversations. Your nervous system is calm. Now compare that to the woman who runs hot and cold. Deep connection one day, distance the next, long messages, then silence, intense presence followed by emotional absence. That's the one who stays in your head. You analyze every detail, you question yourself, you chase the version of her that felt good. This isn't random, it's not moodiness, it's a pattern, and it works because most men don't recognize it while they're inside it. Psychology has documented this for decades. It's called intermittent reinforcement. When reward is unpredictable, the brain becomes hyper-focused. The uncertainty increases emotional attachment. Consistent reward creates comfort. Inconsistent reward creates fixation. Your mind isn't responding to her affection. It's responding to the gap between affection and withdrawal. That's why you feel pulled. That's why you keep trying. And that's why if you don't understand what's happening, the pattern keeps controlling you. It's the same principle that makes slot machines addictive, the same principle that makes social media hard to stop, and it's the same principle that makes inconsistent attention feel magnetic. Here's the psychology. When a reward is consistent, your brain adapts. It becomes normal, expected. The emotional spike fades because you already know it's coming. But when the reward is unpredictable, your brain stays on high alert. It keeps scanning for patterns. It keeps chasing the next hit. Uncertainty doesn't calm the mind, it activates it. That's exactly what happens when her attention swings. When she's warm and affectionate, your brain floods with relief and dopamine. You feel high. Then she pulls back, goes cold, disappears, and you don't return to neutral. You drop below it. Now you're not just missing her, you're distressed. You start replaying every moment, rereading messages, looking for the exact second things shifted. And that drop is the trap, because the fastest way to escape the low is to chase the high again. So you text more, you explain more, you become more available, you start bending your boundaries. You tolerate behavior you'd never accept from anyone else, all because your nervous system wants the reward to return. Here's what makes it even more dangerous. Most of the time, this isn't a calculated plan. It becomes a learned dynamic. Some people discover through experience that inconsistency creates more pursuit than consistency. So the pattern repeats. Warmth, withdrawal, the high, then the absence. And the moment you recognize that pattern for what it is, it starts losing its grip. Because you stop interpreting the withdrawal as your failure. You stop reacting like you need to earn your way back into basic respect. You stop handing your emotional state to someone else's unpredictability. That's when the game changes. Because once you can see the mechanism clearly, you're no longer forced to chase it. Pause for a second. If you've ever felt pulled towards someone who gave you mixed signals, write "I see it now" in the comments. I want to know how many of you just recognized a pattern from your own life. Let me break down how this pattern shows up in real life so you can recognize it the moment it happens. If you're dealing with someone who leaves you confused and mentally stuck, you'll recognize far more of these behaviors than you expect, maybe uncomfortably many. The first pattern is the hot-cold cycle. One phase she's fully engaged. Constant messages, plans, affection making you feel chosen. Then, without explanation, the temperature drops. Short replies, distant tone. I'm busy. She's still there, but the warmth is gone. Your mind starts spinning. What changed? What did I do? How do I get back to the version of her that felt good? That confusion is what hooks you. The second pattern is strategic unavailability. You share a great date, real connection, chemistry. You feel momentum building. Then suddenly she disappears. Hours turn into days. Replies slow down or stop. Your nervous system panics. Did I misread everything? Did I push too far? That anxiety makes you desperate to see her again, not to connect, but to fix what you think you broke. The third pattern is emotional withdrawal. You open up. You share something real. She responds warmly in the moment. You feel closer. Then next time you talk, it's as if that moment never existed. No reference, no depth. Just surface conversation. It feels like the connection was erased, and now you're working twice as hard to recreate something she seems unaffected by. Each of these patterns does the same thing. They create uncertainty, and uncertainty pulls your focus inward. You stop reading her behavior clearly and start questioning yourself. And that's when the attachment deepens, not because the connection grew, but because your mind is trying to resolve the gap she created. The fourth pattern is the attention drought. After making you feel chosen and important, her attention suddenly shifts elsewhere. She's active online but slow with you, out with friends but unavailable to meet. Present, just not for you. That withdrawal creates scarcity, and scarcity turns attention into something your mind starts competing for. You're no longer connecting, you're trying to win. The fifth pattern is the comparison trigger. She casually mentions other men, nothing obvious, just enough to remind you that you're not alone in the picture. A co-worker, someone who asked her out, a conversation she forgot to mention before. That small signal activates your competitive instinct. Now you're not maintaining attraction, you're defending position. And then there's the most confusing one, mixed messages. Her words and actions don't match. She says she cares but cancels plans, says you matter but disappears for days, says she wants this to work but puts in no effort. That contradiction traps your mind. You keep trying to decode the truth, and the search itself keeps you emotionally invested. All of these patterns share one thing, uncertainty, and uncertainty is fuel for the human brain. The mind hates open loops. It will obsess, analyze, replay, and chase just to resolve the unknown. When clarity disappears, fixation begins. And whether it's intentional or not, this dynamic keeps you thinking about her far more than she's thinking about you. That's why you sometimes see confident, successful men lose control around someone who treats them poorly, not because she's extraordinary, but because the pattern hijacks their nervous system. They think it's love. In reality, it's attachment created by inconsistency. Meanwhile, the person who offers stability and clarity often gets taken for granted. Predictability feels safe, but safety doesn't activate obsession. This isn't cruelty, it's how the brain responds to reward and withdrawal. Now here's the turning point. Understanding the pattern is only the first step. Freedom starts the moment you recognize it while it's happening. Stop rationalizing inconsistency. Stop blaming yourself. Stop searching for hidden meaning. Name it for what it is, a cycle that feeds on your reaction. The moment you see the mechanism clearly, it loses power. You can't be unconsciously controlled by something you're consciously aware of. Awareness breaks the loop. Second, and this is critical, when she pulls away, goes cold, or becomes distant, you do nothing. No checking messages, no "are you okay?" texts, no attempts to bring back the warm version of her. Silence, space, and stillness. Most men fail right here. The moment she withdraws, they panic, they chase. And that reaction is exactly what feeds the pattern. When you chase, you lose position. When you do nothing, you keep it. Third, you match her energy. Not exceed it. Not compensate for her lack of effort with more effort from you. Match it. If she responds late, you respond late. If she's distant, you're distant. This protects your emotional investment and keeps it proportional. You stop overgiving to someone undergiving. And often, the moment you stop overinvesting, the dynamic flips. Unpredictability shifts sides. Fourth, you maintain a life that exists independently of her. Your schedule, your goals, your circle, your momentum. A life so full that her availability doesn't control your mood or direction. When you have real abundance, not pretending, not posturing, inconsistency loses its leverage. She's available, great. She's not, also fine. Your life continues either way, and that alone dissolves the power imbalance. Fifth, the boundary, clear, calm, and direct. You state that inconsistency doesn't work for you. You don't argue, you don't justify, you don't threaten, you simply communicate your standard. Most men avoid this because they fear losing her, but you can't lose what was never stable to begin with. Someone who needs inconsistency to hold your attention isn't someone you're meant to build with. When you apply these steps, recognize the pattern, don't chase, match energy, protect your life, set boundaries, something inevitable happens. Either she drops the behavior and becomes consistent, which is rare, or she moves on to someone easier to pull around, which is common, and either way you win, because you're no longer reacting, you're no longer hooked, and you're no longer available to be controlled. If this video exposed a pattern you've lived through, comment, "I see the pattern now." Let's see who's actually aware. Let me give you the deeper framework that makes you permanently immune to this pattern. It starts with a simple rule: focus only on what is actually under your control. Your behavior, your standards, your boundaries, your level of emotional investment. What she does, how she feels, when she pulls away, none of that belongs to you. The moment you stop trying to manage her behavior and start managing your response, the power dynamic shifts. The second rule is even more important: never need what you can't control. The moment you depend on her attention for emotional stability, you give it power over you. That dependence usually comes from a lack of fulfillment elsewhere. Fill your life, build purpose, strengthen friendships, create momentum. When your life is full, no single person's presence or absence can destabilize you. This isn't about being cold, it's about being complete. The third rule is clarity without illusion. Stop listening to words and start observing patterns. Consistency reveals interest. Inconsistency reveals uncertainty. Most men lie to themselves because clarity hurts. But self-respect requires seeing reality exactly as it is, not as you wish it were. The fourth rule is standards without exception. Inconsistency is not a challenge to overcome, it's a filter. If someone can't offer steady respect and effort, they don't meet your standard, and a standard that collapses under attraction or loneliness was never a standard to begin with. When these principles are internalized, inconsistency stops affecting you. You see it, you recognize it, and you refuse to participate. Here's the final truth most men aren't ready for. When inconsistency stops working on you, it often escalates. Small bursts of attention, sudden warmth, random messages. This is the system testing whether you're still hooked. If you don't react, don't chase, don't break, one of two things happens. Either she becomes consistent because the old pattern failed, or she moves on to someone easier to control. And you must be completely at peace with both outcomes, because anyone who only wants you when they can pull your emotional strings isn't someone you want in your life. Losing them isn't a loss, it's clarity. You didn't lose a connection. You filtered out an incompatible dynamic and made space for something real. That's not rejection, that's self-respect. Here's the ultimate truth. Emotionally mature, consistent women exist. Women who communicate clearly because they respect you. Women who don't play games because they bring real value. They're out there, but you won't find them while you're stuck chasing inconsistency. The moment you refuse to play that game, something automatic happens. Manipulators fall away, and quality rises to the surface. You stop filtering for excitement and start filtering for alignment. Obsession isn't created by being treated well, it's created by strategic inconsistency. Warm, then cold. Present, then distant. Affection, then withdrawal. That swing triggers a loop in the brain that feels stronger than steady care ever could. Most men spend years trapped in it, mistaking fixation for love, while overlooking the people who would treat them with clarity and respect. When you apply the principles you've learned here, the loop breaks. You stop reacting, you stop chasing, you stop negotiating your standards. When attention disappears, you don't panic. When effort drops, you don't overcompensate. When boundaries are crossed, you walk away without drama. At the same time, you're building a life so full that no single person's attention controls your direction. That's freedom. Freedom from manipulation, freedom from chasing uncertainty, freedom to build relationships based on mutual respect and consistent investment. Now the question is yours to answer. Have you ever confused obsession with attraction and paid for it? Tell me in the comments. Be honest. That's where the shift begins. If this breakdown gave you clarity, support the channel by liking and sharing this video with someone who needs it. And if you want more frameworks like this, subscribe. It helps this channel grow and reach men who are ready to step out of old patterns. There's also another video waiting for you that goes even deeper into a principle most people never hear out loud, something that quietly works far more often than anyone admits. You'll find it linked in the description and pinned in the comments. Watch that next, because once you see how this really works, you don't just stop being controlled, you start choosing.